Everyone knows Reddit, the self-proclaimed front page of the internet. Of course, this would mean anything behind Reddit's front page is a back page, a sort of septic tank of the internet, which is shockingly fitting, actually. Reddit is where parents' dreams and aspirations for their children go to die, and lunatics, sexual deviants, and the worst flavors of politics are born. Reddit, a place where neckbeards, commies, and self-righteous weirdos gather to circle jerk their way into the collective Hall of Fame, because these atheists still feel the need to get into some sort of afterlife. Something I've noticed over my time on the internet is that Reddit isn't a platform or a social media site. You see, Reddit is a machine, a deranged, degenerate, soy-fueled assembly line that takes regular people and turns out supervillains. Evil agents of the leftist agenda, working towards desecration's most profane, indignity's most foul. Reddit produces freaks so unhinged, so ripe for mockery, they become lolcows, human train wrecks ready to be milked for laughs and outrage. Now in this video I want to dive into what I call the Lolcow pipeline, or how Reddit's toxic echo chambers turn normies into psychos, from self-immolating commies to wannabe or actual assassins, to just your dime a dozen child groomers. We be pontificating theories and shit in this one. First off, let's define our terms, because it's possible you aren't as terminally online as I am. A lolcow is someone so absurd, so pathetic, so phenomenally fucking unhinged, that they're a bottomless well of entertainment. Think of them as human memes, people who keep doing dumb shit, and the internet keeps laughing. The term comes from 4chan, where they figured these folks are like cows, you can milk them for lols. Now Reddit is the fucking dairy farm. From keyboard warriors to real-world nutjobs, Reddit's got a knack for breeding these freaks. But how? Why? And who the hell are these people? Let's break it down. To understand Reddit, you have to understand its ecosystem. Reddit's a weird beast. It's a sprawling mess of subreddits, each its own niche little micro-community where quote-unquote people obsess over everything from artisanal coffee to communist fanfiction. Each subreddit is its own echo chamber, dominated by groupthink. You've got your r/politics, where homosexual communists scream about late-stage capitalism on their expensive gaming computers. You've got r/anti-work, where dog walkers preach the gospel of mooching off welfare.
And, you know, you can walk away from that job at any time and quit. So I don't understand really what this is about, except it sounds like maybe people are just being lazy. Are you encouraging people to be lazy?
So I think laziness is a virtue in a society where people constantly want you to be productive 24/7.
And don't forget the gender bender subs, where pronouns multiply faster than Arabs in Berlin. These places aren't just forums or communities, they're cults, and like any good cult, they radicalize. Now of course, I tend to try and avoid Reddit, if I can help it, but I know someone who doesn't. I know a brave soul who explores the depths of Reddit, a helldiver who drops into the bowels of the beast to expose its insidious machinations to the masses. Let's ask BasedIfTrue about the ecosystems of Reddit, because he's an expert in this sort of thing after all.
Hello Internet, thank you Mr. Brass for giving me the opportunity to explain to you how the Reddit ecosystem works. From the outside looking in, Reddit is just like any other social media site. There's posts, forums, and discussions on pretty much any topic you can think of. What makes Reddit different from all the others though is simply the fact that it's an authoritarian hellhole that operates on a social credit system called karma. And those who control whether you use the site or not all have a BMI around 40, goon to copious amounts of porn, and will immediately dismiss you from any discussion if you don't own at least 2 copies of the Communist Manifesto. Everyone who isn't a bot that still uses the site still believes their IQ is at least 30 points above what it actually is, and all of the major subreddits and now the smaller subreddits are just infested with progressive politics. Going on Reddit is one thing, but not even God can save you from being a Redditor. But hey, at least you'll never have to use your brain again, as the hive mind will always tell you how to think. Stay base, guys.
Now that makes sense. Of course, you also have to wonder how these ecosystems are created. Here's how it works. Reddit's upvote downvote system is like crack for validation junkies. Post a popular take like billionaires are evil, which is truly a daring thing to say on a platform where everyone agrees with you, and then watch the upvotes roll in. Your brain gets a dopamine hit, you feel like the next Karl Marx, right? Now, if you dare to disagree, different story. Downvotes and Reddit power mods wielding banhammers. You see, Reddit is the purest form of democracy, and a phenomenal example of why democracy fucking sucks. And to the normies watching, no, this doesn't mean I want an all-powerful dictator. Check out some of my other videos if you're curious about my individualistic beliefs. Anyway, this sort of direct democracy, where the majority gets to essentially silence the minority on Reddit, creates a feedback loop where only the loudest, most zealously, sycophantically leftist takes survive. It's survival of the shittiest. And over time, this warps people. The reality is that Redditors don't just post, they become their posts. Their identities fuse with a hive mind, and that's where the Lolcow pipeline starts. The pipeline's simple. Step 1, some lonely blue-pilled schmuck joins Reddit looking for community. Step 2, they find a subreddit that affirms all their gripes. Maybe r/anti-work for the gay communists, or r/politics for the gay communists, or r/comics for, the gay communists. Step 3, they start posting, chasing those sweet upvotes. And then step 4, the echo chamber amplifies their worst impulses, rewarding rage and punishing nuance. Finally, step 5, they're either screaming into the void or doing something really stupid in real life. Like, say, setting something on fire, or setting themselves on fire, or any other number of destructive activities. At this point, I feel we should meet some of Reddit's finest supervillains and lolcows. These are just some examples of people who went from mildly annoying Redditor to holy shit, what is wrong with you? And trust me, the list is long. Reddit's like a clown car of crazy. Every time you think it's empty, another clown pops out. You think there could only be so many clowns, but wait, what's that? More clowns! That's right, more clowns falling out of the clown car. We can always fit more clowns in there, come on now. We'll start off with Aaron Bushnell, the Human Torch. Flame on! This guy was a US Air Force member who decided the best way to free Palestine was to turn himself into a human bonfire outside the Israeli embassy. In February 2024, he livestreamed himself shouting, "Free Palestine!" before lighting up like a Molotov cocktail. And it actually completely worked. Israel immediately demilitarized, pulled out of Gaza, and everyone is happy now and there's total peace. Nobody ever got killed again after Aaron did that. He solved the Middle East. Oh, wait, never mind. They're still shooting each other and Aaron's still very dead. Now, one has to wonder, where did he get this galaxy-brained idea? Why, Reddit, of course, while posting under the username AceBush1. Subreddits like r/politics and r/Palestine, as well as any other number of communist or so-called leftist anarchist subs, are packed with posts glorifying revolutionary self-sacrifice. In the eyes of these people, Aaron wasn't a tragic case. He was a brave Reddit martyr. Can you think of anything worse than Reddit to be a martyr for? Oh my god. The reality is that Aaron was radicalized by a platform that cheers for performative insanity. Here's a pro tip for my viewers. If your activism involves a lighter and a can of gasoline, maybe log off for a little bit. Now, next up we have Luigi Mangione. This guy is a poster child for Reddit's ability to turn a pretty normal dude into a murderer. In 2024, Luigi, a 26-year-old Italian type, which technically makes this a case of black crime, got so pissed off about America's healthcare system that he decided to shoot up the CEO of United Healthcare. Why? Because he was radicalized on Reddit under the account u/Mr. Cactus. He would not have shot the CEO of United Healthcare if he had never made a Reddit account. That's fucking crazy. He left us behind a manifesto that read like an r/politics thread. Result, 1 dead executive, a probable life sentence, and 0 problem solved. But he is really popular on Reddit now, so bravo Luigi, you really stuck it to the man. This is what happens when you let Reddit's commie fanboys whisper in your ear. You see, Luigi thought he was Che Guevara 2.0, but he's ultimately just another sucker who traded his brain and the best years of his life for upvotes. But of course, Reddit still got threads calling him a hero and encouraging people to commit copycat attacks. Truly a sick site culture. Thankfully, not every lolcow picks up a gun. Some just pick up a stylus. Enter Pizza Cake Comics, Reddit's favorite wholesome cartoonist. Her shtick? Comics about hecking tolerant and wholesome merino political takes, and then also comics where she depicts herself abusing or raping anyone who disagrees with her. This whore, which by the way isn't defamation because she does literally whore herself out on the internet, is a one-woman cringe factory, churning out pandering slop that Reddit eats up like it's free tendies for my mother for my wedding Q&A. Her comics have horrible art and worse writing, and yet she's very self-important over what she does. Truly an insufferable witch. She's also been making a habit of copyright striking anyone remotely critical of her and trying to destroy people's livelihoods, as she tried to do with my colleague BasedIfTrue. You don't attack the floppa. Also, she makes NSFW content where she cuts her husband and puts it out on OnlyFans. And from what I've seen from leaks, I assure you it's very much not worth buying. She is fat! Anyway, this woman is horrible and yet very popular on Reddit. Shocking! If you want more on her, check out the stream I did with BasedIfTrue and Manic over on Manic's channel. Next up, let's look at a classic. u/Unidan, Reddit's original lolcow. The guy was a biologist who became Reddit's golden boy for dropping fun facts about crows. Which is innocent enough, until he got caught using alt accounts to upvote himself and downvote his rivals. Unidan was so thirsty for Reddit clout, he gave into sociopathic behaviors. He's a perfect example of how Reddit radicalizes literally everyone. How do you get to be so passionate about crows that you spend hours not only posting about them, but then creating alternate accounts to upvote your posts and then argue with anyone disagreeing with you so that you look more popular than you actually are. This guy had a fucking degree in ecology, by the way. He was decently respected in his field and hosted a fucking TED Talk. It just goes to show how Reddit turns nominally normal people into egomaniacs who do anything for a gold star, or in this case, some Reddit gold. Next on the list, we have DSA Tucker, the anti-work mod who became a legend for its Fox News appearance on Jesse Waters, and single-handedly tanked the entire anti-work movement in less than 5 minutes. Tucker was a dog walker who spent his days preaching about the evils of labor on Reddit. Its big moment came when it went on TV to defend r/anti-work's idleness is freedom mantra. Unfortunately, it looked like all the users of the sub distilled into one person. It looked like it spent its welfare check on equal parts of Reddit Gold and Discord Nitro. It looked like it hadn't showered since Occupy Wall Street. Obviously, nobody could take the movement seriously at that point, and r/anti-work imploded. I mean, this is the guy that thought he was gonna lead the proletariat to victory. DSA Tucker's the kind of Redditor who thinks posting is praxis. Newsflash, comrade, nobody's overthrowing capitalism with a Reddit account, alright? God, there's just so many of these fucking freaks. Honestly, most of these people fall under the category of essentially being the Antifa Avengers. Emily Gorchensky, for example, a trans activist and Reddit darling and doxing superfan. He's big in things like r/against hate subs, where he plays internet detective, snipping out fascists, which technically means anyone who disagrees with him. Or there's Nicholas Ruski, who took Reddit rhetoric to heart and tried to assassinate Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh in 2022. Of course, he failed because he's a Redditor, and they're not good at particularly anything. Anyway, the list goes on. U/Gallowboob, Reddit's Karma King, who'd sell his soul for an upvote, and probably has. Paige Thompson, a transgender hacker who used Reddit to brag about Z-Zer's hacking, and probably eventually hacking exploits. Awkward the Turtle, who views Reddit moderation as a full-time job and thinks it should be viewed as the same as charity work. There's so many examples of Reddit losers, creeps, and pedos. No wonder Turkey Tom covers so many of these fuckers. Reddit is genuinely a supervillain factory. So why does Reddit turn people into lolcows and supervillains? It's not just the upvotes, it's the culture. Reddit's a pressure cooker for bad ideas, where the worst impulses get amplified and the best ones get buried. Let's break down the mechanics of this madness. Reddit subreddits are like digital cults, right? You join r/socialism and suddenly you're surrounded by people who think eating the rich is a balanced diet. Disagree, you're downvoted to hell or banned by a mod with power trip and a neckbeard. This creates a feedback loop where only the most extreme takes survive. It's not about truth or novel ideas or interesting dialogue, but purely about conformity, right? And when you're surrounded by people cheering your bad ideas, you start believing you're a genius, or a revolutionary, or a martyr. Then there's also Reddit's anonymity, which is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it lets people speak freely. On the other, it turns them into sociopaths, right? Because when you're just a username, it's easy to forget that there are consequences for your actions. That's why you get people like Emily Gorchensky doxing randos, or Luigi Mangione justifying murder. Reddit strips away empathy and replaces it with rage. Now, I think it should stay anonymous, as online anonymity isn't inherently a bad thing, but when combined with the site's culture, you end up with a really gross pattern of behavior. And then there's Reddit's algorithm, which is based almost entirely on engagement. It doesn't show you what you like, it shows you what keeps you angry. Redditors are ridiculously used to this algorithm, to the point where they always fall for rage bait, even on other platforms. Seriously, find a Redditor with a Zitter account, post some bait, and they fall for it every fucking time. It's really entertaining. Now, obviously, I'm more than happy to laugh at the rogues gallery of freaks and degenerates pumped out by Reddit, but the issue is that the Lolcow pipeline doesn't just produce laughs, it also produces consequences. Reddit's culture, unfortunately, doesn't always stay online. It's breach containment, right? It spills into the real world and the results are ugly. The site genuinely has blood on its hands. And it's not just the big names, by the way, the ones I've mentioned. Reddit's culture of outrage fuels countless smaller disasters. Various subreddits breed cuckolds and commies, doomers and gooners. There's a non-insignificant number of young men who use the site heavily, and it's fucking ruining them. It's sad to see that these people are essentially groomed into being massive fucking losers. Reddit really is best described as a social experiment gone horribly wrong. It takes lonely, angry, extremely smug people and turns them into monsters. Some become lolcows, mocked for their cringe. Others become supervillains, committing actual crimes. Either way, Reddit's the common denominator, and chances are the pipeline is going to keep pumping out these freaks. So what's the fix? How do we shut the pipeline down, right? Well, we don't. Reddit isn't going to be shut down anytime soon because it's got the backing of the Chinese Communist Party. But here are some tips and tricks to avoid being groomed into lolcowdom if you are unfortunate enough to be using the site. Tip 1. Log the fuck off. Seriously, the internet's not your therapist. Go outside, talk to real people, pet a dog, anything but browsing fucking Reddit. Put the phone down and lift weights, you know? 2. Think for yourself because Reddit's hive mind is dumber than you are, I promise. the collective is always stupider than the individual. And question everything you see on the site, especially the stuff everyone else is upvoting. If 10,000 people agree, they're actually probably wrong. 3. Don't chase clout. Upvotes aren't currency. Karma won't pay your rent. Stop pandering to the mob. And finally, call it the crazies. If you see someone spiraling into Reddit-induced madness, be nice and tell them to chill, or better yet, be like me and mock them mercilessly. If you take a step back, you can realize just how much there is to laugh at with these people. It's a waste not to, really. Anyway, I guess to sum things up, Reddit's a black hole that sucks insanity and empathy and morality and spits out supervillains. Don't be the next Aaron Bushnell setting yourself on fire for fake internet points. Don't be the next Luigi Mangione thinking murder's gonna fix healthcare. And for God's sake, don't be the next Pizza Cake Comics drawing rape porn of your critics. The Lolcow pipeline is a beast that never sleeps. Reddit has proven itself a factory for freaks, and as long as people keep chasing upvotes and echo chambers keep growing, the pipeline will keep pumping out Lolcows. So if, God forbid, you find yourself scrolling Reddit, either follow my advice, or you could just find a 6-foot length of rope and form a loop with one end and feed the working end through that loop from under the